Is there some music playing at the back or somewhere? I can hear some noise, I think, behind you.
No music near me. It's actually music on the streets because
Ah.
Durga Puja is
Oh,
on.
okay, okay.
It's weird that you can still hear it because it's quite
Yeah.
faint.
I am Parth, and you are listening to Dhvani. A very warm welcome to the season 2 of Dhvani podcast, which is themed Suno. And in this episode, I have Anuj with me, who's working on some very interesting ideas. And let me just start by telling you the backstory of how I ended up having a conversation with Anuj. So back in 2020, I was just casually browsing through LinkedIn, and I came across a very catchy post that said that this boy from Kolkata saves 50,000 liters of water every day. And I was very intrigued to understand how this boy is able to do this. So I read along the post and I found out that Anuj has started an initiative that targets to tap every open pipe in Kolkata. And this was something that I knew about because I have been to Kolkata and I did see a lot of open pipes in Kolkata that waste a lot of water just on the roads or in the gutters. This was something that I really wanted to understand. Like after getting impressed and all that, I really wanted to contact Anuj and understand how he has been able to do this. So I contacted him and he was very kind to give me his time and talk to me about it, how he did this and how even people like you and me can do this. And in this process, I also found out that Anuj also runs a successful enterprise. He is an entrepreneur and has a company that works in the space of journalism that curates and aggregates news. And we already are aware about the state in which news is today in our country and across the world, I would say. So this conversation that we had together ended up being a very, very informative and eye-opening conversation for me. Not only I got to understand about his initiative, but I also understood a lot about how he's trying to build the startup, what challenges he's facing, how news works, how it doesn't work, how the revenue model is. And he was cool enough to let me know everything without hiding any information. And I think anybody who's going to listen to this is going to enjoy and learn a lot from this conversation that I had with Anuj. So without any further ado, let us begin with part 1 of my conversation with Anuj Agarwal. Here we go.
My name is Anuj. I'm a master's in business administration from SIBM Pune. And I specialized in innovation and entrepreneurship.
Okay.
My course basically taught me how to get on with startups, how to actually create a startup, and what are the requirements that you need to do to get into the startup game. And I got into this course because since the beginning of times, I've always been very interested in businesses. Coming from a business family and always been being surrounded by businessmen and women around me, I knew that that is the path I wanted to take down in life. So done with that, and post that, I am now the founder and CEO of Extra Insights.
Okay.
It's a upcoming journalism aggregator and curator,
Okay.
where we collate credible, in-depth, and insightful journalism from various publications. We do not focus on breaking news, which I believe a lot of news aggregators are already doing out there,
Right.
but focus a lot more on deep dive, insightful content from a lot of publishers. One of our publishers is India Spent, which produces fantastic data journalism pieces. You should check them out.
Okay.
And yeah, so working on that full time.
Okay.
And along with that, I am quite passionate about climate change. I see and feel the effects of climate change every day. Days are getting hotter. The need for an air conditioner is always ever rising.
Yeah.
And that kind of irks me because I really don't like the change that is coming because of humans. I see this planet is actually borrowed. We do not own it.
Right.
So we should give it back in a state that we took it in.
Right.
And just trying to make a dent in this world by taking small individual steps in the way we can. And for that, what I did was since the time I moved to Calcutta about 7 or 8 years ago, I have been seeing these community taps all around Calcutta, which spill a lot of water on the footpath Hyderabad. Like initially, I used to think of them only as not a destructive, but as a dirty infrastructure because it used to spill water on the road and there was water everywhere.
Right.
But with time, it turned into concern because I found out that that water is actually filtered and it is usable water. And so then I got to know that each tap can in a day spill about 6,000 liters of water. So although I always wanted to do something about those taps, I never maybe found the time or the courage. But now that I was back after my masters and I started settling in the city properly,
Yeah.
I really wanted to bring this change. And so for that, I took a small initiative. I started by fixing just one tap which was right outside my workplace. And since then, we have now fixed 19 taps and save about 1 lakh liters of water every day.
That's huge, man.
Yeah, it seems huge, but there are thousands and thousands of such taps. A friend of mine has fixed about 1,500 such taps in Calcutta alone.
Okay.
Yeah, and he saves I can't even do the math right now. Liters of water every day. Yeah, so we are not stopping at this. In fact, I was just about to post an update on this initiative on Extra Insights blog, where we are now trying to take this initiative pan India. We have received messages from cities like Jaipur, Bangalore, Mumbai, Pune, where although I've stayed in Pune, I never saw those pipes, but I think there are such pipes throughout these cities and throughout India. And these pipes have been here since colonial times, and I still don't see a reason as to why these governments or local authorities haven't added a tap on them
Right.
and lets fresh water spill over. So we're trying to take this initiative pan India now, make it a voluntary initiative to try and save as much water as possible in a country like India where water is going to be scarce really, really soon.
Right. So, like, one of the questions I have to ask a lot of things with whatever you have supplied me right now. But one question that comes to my mind right away is that, like, whenever I have spoken about public initiatives with people, like, okay, if the government is not doing, maybe the citizens will stand up and start doing things by themselves. But one of the things that I've heard from a lot of people, from government officials even, that even to do something right from a citizen's perspective is something that doesn't go very well by the municipality, by the government. There's so much red tapeism that you cannot take some initiatives by your own self, even if you wanted to do something good, even if you wanted to contribute something. So did you face anything like that, or how does it go? I'm really intrigued by this.
Well, frankly, I didn't face anything of that sort.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, fortunately, I did not. But yes, this question that you are asking, I have been asked by a lot of people, and I myself was asking this, that what if I start fixing these taps and then one day a authority stops me and tells me, why are you tampering with these taps? Yeah. So what I did was I actually got in touch with the water department.
Okay.
And I asked them, like, first of all, there were a lot of misconception about these taps in the city. Like, a few people thought that these taps actually are not regulated, and what happens is these taps are just used to divert high tide from the Hooghly River on the banks of which Calcutta is based.
Okay.
So the water just flows into the city so that there's no flood around. Then there was another misconception that, this was the main misconception. The other fact is that there are actually 2-3 types of such taps.
Right.
Although all of them look the same,
Yeah.
they function differently. One of these taps provide filtered usable water, which is not drinkable, but it is usable. The other provides unfiltered water directly from the Hooghly.
Okay.
So it uses massive pumps to push unfiltered water throughout all of these pipes.
Okay.
So it's unfiltered water. And the third type is a completely different type, which is a huge pipe, which keeps, it's a pressure pipe. It doesn't stop ever. It just keeps out like about 500 liters of water per minute or so. It just keeps spilling that. So that's a huge pipe.
Okay.
I got to know all of these, and these put out a lot of questions in my mind as to, are these actually true?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't get the water quality checked of each pipe
Right.
that is available out there. So I just got in touch with the water department asking, like, I found out a few numbers from the internet.
Right.
And got in touch with one, which of course didn't respond. Then got in touch with someone else who was on apparently a holiday, but somehow found time for me for a 5 minutes call.
Okay.
So that guy helped me out. I asked him firstly what is the main function of these taps. He told that there is no tap in the entire Calcutta which is used to divert high tide from the Hooghly River.
Okay.
which actually makes sense.
Okay.
Because why would you let high tide come into the city? That will flood the city even more, right?
Right.
So that is a clean misconception, and that is actually false. So there no water directly enters Calcutta. It is always via a pump or a filtration system.
Okay.
Right. So coming to the types of taps, then he told me that there are a few types of taps. The freshwater tap, of course, and the unfiltered tap. The unfiltered tap works to provide people usable water for small usages like washing the roads or something else, which is completely unfiltered. You can actually feel the
Yeah.
sand and the mud in your hands when you hold that water. But the other water, which is filtered, is although not drinkable but filtered for other uses like washing utensils, baths, clothes, etc.
Yeah.
So we tap these filtered water taps, not the unfiltered ones.
Okay.
The unfiltered taps actually spill more water because they run 24/7.
Right.
They do not stop. Like there is no stop to it. And the filtered ones actually run about 4 hours a day, and that is why they spill only 6,000 liters.
Okay.
The unfiltered ones spill a lot more. But we cannot tap them because the moment we tap them,
Yeah.
the water is still in these pipes. And when the water is still,
Right.
the mud will start sedimenting,
Right.
and
It
that
will
will
block.
damage the pipes.
Right.
Yeah. So we cannot tap them. But the other ones, we can tap them.
Okay.
So I asked them, the final question I asked him is, why is the government not tapping them?
Right.
So he told me that the government does want to tap them,
Right.
and they do have it on their charts. And then the normal government mumbo jumbo that we did, but this happened, that happened, whatever, right? And then I found out on the same website that the government of West Bengal has a plan to reduce water wastage,
Okay.
of which tapping these taps is also a part.
Okay.
So yeah, and I also asked him if it is okay if I attach a tap or if someone else adds a tap to it.
Right.
Will it damage the main filtration system or something else, or will it be a problem? And he said no, there's no issue per se. The government itself wants to tap, but they have not been able to for some reasons. Right. So that, along with the fact that I found the document which says that the government actually wants to tap it and it is a part of their initiative,
Right.
gave me kind of the confidence to be sure that okay, the authorities are not actually going to come and knock on my door
Right.
saying that you're tampering with public property.
Right.
And that gave me the go ahead. Along with that, as I said, I have a few friends who have done this previously, who have taken this initiative, and some assistance from them, in the sense that some advice from them also helped me out.
That's a lot of work. Like,
Yeah.
that's also gives me a lot of hope, because now, since you mentioned this, I think that if we try to go through the proper channels and if we have the intent to do something like this, maybe we can, right?
Yes, I think we surely can. Proper channels, yes, I think that is something that we should definitely look for in anything that we do.
Right.
Although Indians are famous for their jugaad and they're famous for working around things, I believe following a proper channel just gives you so much more confidence and authority.
Exactly.
That you can then just inflate this thing at a level which you couldn't have imagined if you were working secretly or behind someone's back.
Right, because I can only think of, there are a lot of people who crib and complain on daily basis on those things, but nobody would ever think about an action like this, right? So this gives me a lot of hope in that sense that okay, there is some kind of action that can be taken maybe at our level as well today, if we are ready to put in that much patience and effort that you are putting in, right? So this is very nice, man. And like, this is something that I might not use in the podcast or whatever, but let's talk a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey and like how
Sure.
did you start this idea? How long have you been doing it, and how these things are connected? These both are connected, if at all they are.
Well, if I have to start with the connection, I
Yeah.
think that would be a good segue, where you said that
Yeah.
a lot of people do complain on a daily basis, but they don't want to take action.
Right.
That is where my entrepreneurial skills kick in. Yes, if I have to connect these two things, I believe the best point would be the fact that I was also one of the guys who used to just crib.
Yeah.
But since time immemorial, because I have had this entrepreneurial spirit inside of me, it somehow had this execution or actionable quality with it, right? I was always an initiative taker. Like since day one, I had always taken initiatives for even the smallest of things. I've led a lot of groups. I have led a lot of a lot of teams, and we've tried to do so many things. I failed in a hundred of things,
Right.
like hundreds of things. But yes, I've always wanted to try a few things. I always go with the go with the line like how hard could it be? Like why not? And I always like to try things. So I think that somehow connect that because it helps me in my entrepreneurial journey. It also somehow kicked in here where I saw even after 3, 4, 5 years when no one was taking action and nothing was happening,
Right.
I said, fine, like let's just do something and let's start. Like why not? And how hard could it be? Is it actually that difficult? I just have to get a tap and fix it on. And yeah, that is how these two are connected. Talking about my entrepreneurial journey, well, as I said, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I have been an entrepreneur before. Even during my undergraduation, I was an entrepreneur. I had an event management company of myself. Have helped in my family business as well, but I actually wanted to do something which brings about real change and at the same time help me financially. So the fascinating story of Extra Insights is actually two-pronged, right? I wanted to, there was a time when I was back from my college, I was researching as to what should I actually do, what is the thing, what is the business that I want to start. And that research was so difficult for me to conduct because good quality news articles or good journalism was usually hidden in the depths of the internet. I had to spend hours and hours to find good content, good data to actually support that research. Right? That was one issue.
Right.
The other fact was I actually, in my free time or in the time that I was tired of that research, I wanted to watch something. Everything that I wanted to watch was on different platforms, different OTT platforms. And that really irked me because I was like, I can't really go and buy a subscription for all of them. And somehow that connected with the journalism industry as well because all the good content was very fragmented into different journalism or media houses, and it took a lot of time to find them. So although expense was the main problem in the OTT platform, here the main problem was curation and aggregation, and that struck me. And with the news media industry going through all the financial problems and also now the problems of integrity and editorial standards, I decided that is something that fits perfectly with the time that we are living in, and that is something that I also feel passionate about because I like research. I want to find new things. I want to see new data, and together I merge them into Extra Insights, where we collate premium, in-depth journalism from a lot of publications which people might not even have heard of, and we collect content from those and present it to people so we make it easier for you to find quality content. And not just rely on the short pieces that we read on social media or other places. Because social media, I believe, is not the space for journalism consumption. It is definitely the space for news consumption, which it is right now.
True.
Yeah.
They never, I think in their early business models, they never factored news into the picture, and somehow they became news platforms today, and which is a very sad affair, I think, in many ways.
Yes, I completely agree. Social media was not definitely designed for news. They did not have news in mind. They only had social interactions in mind.
Right. Yeah. So this definitely sounds such a relevant thing. Like right now, today, when the news media is so broken, like everybody talks about that God knows what is happening, the TRP game, and it's more than, the soaps, daily soaps were at one point. Today is the news. So, but because I listen to a lot of podcasts, so this is one of the, maybe since you are in the domain, I think you might know about News Laundry.
Yeah.
So News Laundry is something that I've been following for a very long time, when they were like followed by very few people. At that time I was following News Laundry, and they have now become big. And one of the biggest things that they say is that we won't take advertisers' money to show the news. Like whoever pays for it is served. It's as simple as that, right?
Yeah.
So that's what they follow. So that's what I wanted to understand, that knowing the challenges of this domain, and it's a struggle. Like although Abhinandan Sikri always tells this, that I'm very confident and it's going to work one day. It's going to work. Everybody is telling against this thing that nobody's going to pay for your news. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but he's very confident about it. So that's what I wanted to understand, that do you also look at this from a different, and this is a very insider question. You can choose not to answer, but I'll just, for the sake of, for better understanding of me and for my listeners, that do you also target a different revenue model altogether, or is there something unique happening in your case? If you can give some idea.
Yeah, so we, as just like News Laundry, we are not ad based. So we are a completely ad free platform.
Okay.
We do not want to do anything with advertisements for the same reasons as Mr. Sekhri has very rightly put, that
Yeah.
when you use ads, you serve the advertisers, and when the customers pay, we serve the customers.
Right.
I think that is very nicely been put.
Right.
And there are a lot of such quotes by News Laundry which I love, but we cannot use.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So yes, we also have a really ad-free platform, and our entire platform is a subscription-based model where you pay us a monthly sum, and that sum is collected and then distributed amongst all the partner publishers.
Okay.
So that gives the publishers a direct communication with their customers to collect revenue. They don't have to rely via advertisements to collect such revenue.
Right.
They directly collect revenue from the customers. Although it is through us,
Right.
we are a middleware, I agree.
Right.
But we always partner with the publisher, and we decide a percentage which usually stays fixed, and the majority portion of our revenue goes to the publication. So
Right.
it is always at least above 50. 50 is a benchmark that we have set.
Right.
Yes, we have an ad-free platform, and other than that,
Yeah.
I am not against ads. I'm not saying that ads is
I agree.
implicitly bad. There can be good ads. There are, in fact, a lot of new technologies coming up which can make ads better.
Right.
One such technology that I am looking at are contextual ads, which basically means that if you're reading an article on individual finance, like how should you maintain your own personal finances and something of that sort. If you're reading an article on that, then having an advertisement about a mutual fund in that will give the mutual fund company a lot more returns.
Right.
So that makes the advertisement according to the content that we
It's
are reading.
relevant, basically.
Yes. So it's relevant ad. Instead of like if I were to see a programmatic ad for the shoes that I was looking at Amazon, it will be a hindrance, and the number of clicks would anyway be lower.
Right.
So contextual ads is something that we are also figuring out, discovering, and trying to understand.
Yeah.
And do I look at things a little more differently? Well, I think yes, because I do hear the same people that Mr. Sekhri does when they say that this is not going to work, India is not a market for this. At some level, I do agree with them, but on a majority scale, I'll tell them that yes, India might not be the market right now,
Yeah,
but
someday.
few years down the line, it is going to be the biggest market for this, because as education progresses,
Right.
as people like us realize that only when we pay for the content will the content actually serve us.
Right.
Do we start paying for such subscriptions? And if you look at any European country right now, they are way ahead of us when it comes to this particular industry. Most of the people.
I remember this. I forgot the name of the company, name of the guy altogether. But this is an Indian guy based in Australia, has this app where every article is 10 cents. You have to pay 10 cents for one article.
Oh, that's not in. So that's called Blendle.
Okay.
The app I believe is called Blendle. It's an app by a journalist, and it started in the Scandinavian countries.
Okay.
They have an Australian presence as well, and now they are doing a beta in US.
Okay.
They work on a paper article
Paper
model
article,
where you keep reading the article. Sorry, keep browsing the articles, and if you like an article, you just pay 10 cents, read it,
Right.
and you're done. So there's no subscription, there's no commitment.
Right.
That is also a model that we did try. We've been at Extra Insights for about a year or so now.
Right.
And we started off with paper article, but we believe that we first need to shift people to a notion where they should start paying for content.
Right.
And then we can give paper article as an option.
Right.
Rather than making paper article the main thing for us.
Right.
And because subscriptions are taking such a huge wave, and
They
it's
are.
a big trend right
Definitely.
now. Even in India.
Yeah, if you can pay, like if I am paying for Spotify right today, because I really feel that Spotify is giving that value of that sort.
Exactly.
So if I can pay for my songs, I think news is much more important than songs, and we should pay for it. This mindset has to be changed.
I agree.
And you are in that cusp of this thing where you are changing this mindset. So very relevant, I think.
Like you brought up a very relevant example of Spotify.
Yeah.
When I was researching about Extra Insights and how to start it, how to go about it,
That was such a lovely conversation with Anuj. If you don't want to miss beautiful and useful information that Anuj has been telling us, you must listen to the next part, which will be coming out next week. All the links related to Anuj, his initiative, his company have been provided in the show notes. You can check them there. The show has been produced, hosted and written by me. My name is Parth Chauhan. The logo of Dhvani was designed by Soumya Garg and the theme music of Dhvani was composed by Cutie Honey Bunch. Dhvani podcast is available on all major music and podcasting platforms like Spotify, JioSaavn, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast and everywhere else where podcasts are found. If you are an entrepreneur, musician, self-employed individual, if you have worked or are working in social sector, anything, all these areas which as per me require a lot of creativity and passion, please connect with me and it would be lovely to hear your story and to share it with the world. If you know somebody in any of these areas, please ask them to contact me. All the links to connect to me and Dhvani podcast have been mentioned in the show notes as well. Please don't forget to follow, subscribe, like this podcast, the episode, wherever you consume your podcasts. Till next week, goodbye. Thank you. See you soon.